Today's video is brought to you by Horrifying Hot Sauce, straight out of Colorado, fermentation, deliciousness. I'm a huge hot sauce fan, and they have hot sauce for everybody's palate, anywhere from PG to the hottest NC-17. And what's amazing about it is these hot sauce are horror themed. Please go ahead and check them out at horrifyinghotsauce.com and tell them that the Horror Room sent you. Hello everyone, welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're going to be doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today I have an actress with us. She is starring in an upcoming horror movie. There's something inhuman in the woods. I have Jewel Cavazos. Cavazos. Jewel Cavazos. I had it down too.
I know you had it.
I know. Jewel, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
The pleasure. So tell us about your role in There's Something Inhuman in the Woods.
I am playing Jasmine, who is one of the girlfriends of one of the longtime friends of this group. It's a group of friends. They've known each other since, a lot of them since elementary school. I'm a little bit of the outcast of the group in the sense of I haven't been around them as long. I'm just dating one of their guys, and I've only been around for a couple of years, but still a tight-knit group, and I'm really, really excited to be working on one that's based in Colorado too, which is really cool. So
yes. I had a pleasure to interview the guys, the filmmakers behind it.
Aren't they awesome?
They're awesome. Awesome.
I cannot wait. We've had some awesome, we've had our first table read and stuff like that now, and I can't wait to actually get a chance to be because we're doing everything. Some of our cast is not local, so we're kind of doing everything via Zoom and that kind of stuff right now, and so I can't wait to actually get to be in the same room with everybody. It's going to be awesome.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I told him, I said, next year for the Colorado Denver Horror Convention, I'm going to go out there and meet up with them. So
awesome. Yeah, that'll be great.
Yes. So you've been in horror acting for a while. How did you get in?
I sort of fell into it, no pun intended. But there is sort of a little bit of a pun there. I ended up, I was looking for acting work. I kind of ended up in the film world in a kind of a roundabout way to begin with, because I never really saw myself as a film actor. I started as a stage actor first, and I was doing a lot of musicals, that kind of stuff. But I also had a martial arts background, and I ended up very young. I ended up doing my first couple of films because of being a martial artist and stuff. But I was rolling through just casting notices, and this one particular casting came up, and it was kind of an action-centric role, which you come to find out is actually because this character has all kinds of crazy supernatural powers, and she's kind of the secret weapon that this particular government agency has against the now huge outbreak of zombies at this point. And nice. She's kind of government engineered to be able to hunt them down and stop them, and she's the one they call in when the agents are in over their heads. And so that was kind of my first foray into horror acting. I've always loved the genre. I have great memories of my grandfather taking me to I'm going to date myself here, taking me to the Albertsons, little VHS, rental station that they had. And it was always when my mom or my grandmother were out of town or, off doing their social stuff that they were doing. And it was just my grandpa and I left home alone, and it started when I was about 5. And he started, and I was like, well, I want to watch this movie. And it started with the Universal Monsters. And so then to kind of start moving into that myself. And then it just kind of stuck between the watching the horror movies. It stuck as a young age, and it stuck out. And I've always just loved them everywhere from I started watching the original Universal Monsters, Wolfman and Dracula were still some of my favorites. I'm a werewolf and a vampire just junkie anyway. And then, then we kind of graduated into Friday the 13th and the Freddy Krueger movies. And I still vividly remember my grandfather watching one of the first Freddy Krueger movies going, if they come home and see this, I am in so much trouble. Which they did not find out until I was in my 20s that this happened. So we did good. But so then I just kind of, I kind of embraced it. I fell in love with, the genre and kind of, being able to kind of play these really cool roles. And then it just kind of snowballed into ending up into other horror films and kind of then now it's kind of branched into other versions of horror. I've done I play a vampire a lot. I have no idea why. Shocking, I know. But yeah, it's branched. I've been able to kind of be both sides. I can be I've been the detective trying to save everyone. I've been the baddie that they call in for stuff, and I've been a murderer a couple of times. So it's nice to have that, and I have stunt and action background as well, so I can go in and, not only do I get to go in and, do the acting stuff, I have the action background as well and the stunt training background. So it makes me kind of fun to have on set because they can just kind of batter me around and I know how to actually roll with it. So, and I can help coordinate stuff when I need to, if, they wanted something a little bit bigger than they thought they could. And I actually had that happen now just with a music video. It was a horror geared music video that I did here not too long ago. And that I did this spring, and it came out this spring, and for this local band called Sin Eater, and and they're like, well, you're gonna die in this video, and it's like, well, we better make it spectacular then.
I know, right?
So there's nothing quite as cool as you go to do a very dramatic death moment, fight moment, and an entire group of metalheads just stops what they're doing and goes, holy crap. So there's the tiniest one on set. I'm 5'7", so I'm not super tiny, but comparatively to a bunch of these people that were on set, I was, and they're just kind of like, she just got thrown around like a rag doll and got back up and
now you've played, the term is villainess. You've played a vampire before, and you've also played a victim. Mm-hmm. Which role do you like better?
Oh, it's I gotta say, I do like playing the bad guy. I love playing the bad guy. I love being the villain. And it's super fun just to kind of get into that mindset, and that, it's a different kind of performing, but some of the action I get to do as a victim is really fun too. Mm-hmm. So, but being the bad guy, being the villainess is always super fun. So
what's the goriest or the worst way you've died in the movie?
That's tough. That's actually a tough one. But I'm gonna have to go with my death in Terror Tales, because Terror Tales is this awesome anthology, super tribute to like our old school anthology movies. And I die at the hands of the sledgehammer killer. And I got brutalized for that film. It ends up being a story that our director has brought up at, for example, at our panel at the first year of Colorado Festival of Horror. He brought it up and ended up having to tell this story on a panel. But the initial scene we shot is because he doesn't just kill you, he toys with you for a while, and how he starts toying with me is he starts breaking my legs. And breaks my legs first, and that's the main part of my death you see on camera is the destruction of my legs. But it's so funny because these were beautifully crafted like prop sledgehammers, except we overshot a couple of times, and the handle itself was actually wood. And couple takes in, the leg that was getting hit with the foam sledgehammer was fine, but the other leg was actually getting hit with the handle of the sledgehammer. So it was fine. It was fine, but a couple takes in, I'm like, okay, that kind of hurts. But it ends up being a really funny story. We end up telling at conventions and stuff and at panels and things. And Jimmy's brought it up a couple of times on a couple of interviews he's done as well. But it is definitely not a pretty way to die. Is death by sledgehammer is definitely not one of the prettiest deaths I've ever had. So it was pretty brutal.
Now, how do you get into the mindset? I've always wondered, as a horror actress, when you're in a kill scene, you're getting killed, you're getting your legs broken by a sledgehammer. How do you get into the mindset to show it on camera that, the brutality that's happening to you, that pain that's happening to you?
Well, sometimes you get hit with the handle of the sledgehammer, and that kicks it out. It's kind of interesting because I've worked with people that have like a hard time kind of wrapping their brain around that, and in other projects I've had people have been like, oh well, I need to go through this and know how to be tased, and I know how to do it. Horror movie stuff, you can't really go and find a real. I mean, no. You could, but you can't really go find that real world example, and I'm not really gonna subject myself to a lot of crazy things for that kind of a thing. But I don't need to actually be stabbed to act that. Generally, I've been very, very lucky in working with really, really good crew and really, really good cast that have just kind of created that atmosphere of tension, and that's where a lot of it comes from, is knowing that, whether it's getting taken out by a sledgehammer killer, or something like, when I was in The Countess, I didn't die, you didn't see me die, but I'm getting slashed apart by a vampire. I was not the vampire in that one, but I'm getting slashed apart. Things like that. I've had I've been bitten by vampires and been attacked by vampires, and those are all things that you kind of just there's a place I kind of start to find that just it's a safe fight or flight kind of a thing. You end up working with these people that put you in a very, very safe, like, kind of mindset. And so you kind of just are able to just kind of let yourself go. It's knowing that it's kind of the same concept of watching a horror movie. You're safe, like deep down, you're safe, but that fight or flight is still kicking in, and there's still that like panic kind of a situation. And so it really, like, each death is kind of unique on its own that you're gonna roll with. And it's a matter of honestly just staying as in the scene that you're working in as you can, and a lot of that leads up to that initial, like, then that panic or whatever that response is going to be. Mm-hmm. I was for again, Terror Tales for the example, like, before, it's not even in the shot, but the guy that was playing our sledgehammer killer at that point in time, he was a stand-in for the actual actor that had been playing the actual face character, but he was stalking around, like, for part of the take, and like he was doing everything he could to just make it look unnerving and feel unnerving. And I didn't know when that first hit was going to actually come, like what he was going to do. And so it was there's you kind of just get into this intensity of that scene, and it really, really helps to kind of just get into that place then when that, okay, now it's time to die.
Now I've heard horror actors and actors say that it's best not to communicate with whoever the killer is in the movie, and the killer, usually some killers, actors stay to themselves and don't try to interact with the future victims because they want to build that aura of being terrified.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you've done? Do you try to communicate with the individual who's the killer, or do you try to stay to yourself, stay away from that individual?
I think it kind of depends, and it depends on the actor that's playing that killer too. Is if they're wanting, because some of them, I've been very lucky to work with some amazing actors who real, and it kind of, sometimes it can be kind of an awkward, compromising kind of a position for especially a female to be in some of these scenes, and it's very vulnerable. And so I've been very lucky that at least ahead of the game that there's a very, there's kind of an established like a relationship there. And so there is kind of a trust kind of a thing that's there. So making sure that, we kind of know what's going to happen ahead of time. So nothing is throwing anybody off guild, making sure everybody's on the same page. In terms of, okay, this is what my boundary is in this scene. This is, if, it's almost like, always like, okay, if I give the high sign, something's wrong, it's and so, but I do tend to, I have noticed that they do tend to kind of, depending on the scene, but they do tend to kind of pull away before, we actually get into the filming, especially like, sometimes like, for a particular Sledgehammer Killer was, just kind of running around on set and stuff like that, and everything else. But the second the mask went on, he was kind of pulled away and wasn't really talking to anybody, and it was kind of more isolated, and he wasn't talking at all during the scenes, obviously, also. And so it kind of, there is kind of that flip that happens. And I have noticed that. And when I've played, some, more sinister kind of characters as well, when I have those scenes, I do tend to kind of pull back a little bit myself too, because there's a brain set that, that once, I'm the same way. I try to establish to make sure, anything that I'm about to say or do, you recognize that this is not coming from me. This is coming from the character. And so that helps. But I do tend to kind of pull away a little bit when, depending on the character, and a lot of, and I've noticed that is the case, is a lot of them do kind of pull back from what they're doing in those scenes. So
now, as a woman who's working in the indie horror film industry, which is a little different than the the big distribution producers, studios, have you ever been offered a role or thought about a role and like you got there and you just felt uncomfortable, whether it be the script or the situation or even the individuals who were making the film?
Ironically, it hasn't been the horror industry really. I've had one experience that it was after the fact on a horror project. I was actually, because of the other people that were on set, I was very comfortable with what was going on and what was being asked of me. And I knew what was going to be asked of me on set, like from the get-go when I took the role. And it was fine on set, but I had some issues with some of the people after, which my representation and my my kind of team at the time really rallied and kind of drew that boundary for me, so I didn't have to. But I've been very fortunate in the horror industry that I haven't had any real experiences where I've gotten onto set and something hasn't gone the way that it was discussed or anything like that, or anything that's really put me in a compromising or an uncomfortable position. I've been, and I recognize that in the industry, I've actually been very fortunate with some amazing people that I've worked with. But I mean, I've had those experiences on modeling shoots. I've had those experiences on on especially earlier on in my, when I was a little bit younger, earlier on in my career, where I'd get on set for, it was, not even horror related projects, but I'd get on set and just kind of be like, this doesn't feel right. Something's not right. So I have had those experiences, but fortunately, like I said, I haven't really had those in this industry, in this genre of industry.
That's amazing. Well, that's a good thing. That's a plus.
Yes, very much
that's
so.
A plus.
Huge.
Now, Joel, you and I actually met. The way you and I met was in the beginning of my YouTube career, I would say, when I made the video that's pretty much kind of gone viral now, which is the Face of Horror scam video. And you commented, you were like one of the first individuals who commented on that video before the second competition even rolled out. And you kind of told some of your horrors, that you experienced in that competition. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, I can't really address a whole lot of like the in-depth of the actual competition itself. Yep. Because I don't, until I actually met you, I didn't know half of what was going on. But a little bit of background with that is I was like anybody else, it popped up on my Instagram or something like that. Hey, there's this thing that's really cool, and here's all of this stuff that's coming up. And I kind of looked at it as a way to go, okay, this gives me some motivation to, I can build some content, do some fun, I'll make some fun horror TikToks, all that kind of stuff. Just pump them up. And, I was like, maybe this will grab me some more followers, maybe, that kind of a thing. And I was like, and hey, if I win, cool, it's another acting role, but I love horror so much. This would be really cool to kind of have that, thinking that it's going to have this really cool kind of title to it. And it started okay. I made it through the first 3 rounds of my group, three or four rounds. I can't remember now of my group. However, that breakdown was of how many groups there were within that, which I didn't know at the time was kind of how that was set up either. Yeah. It goes on so forever. When you're number 1 in your category for a couple rounds, you're all of a sudden going, oh wait. Yeah. Maybe this doesn't quite mean what I thought it did. But I made it through for the first few rounds, and I was down to I think we were down to the top 5 in my initial group. And then weird stuff started happening. Again, I was having fun literally just I have some crazy TikToks that I'm actually starting to repost on my Instagram just for fun right now too. And it's spooky season, so why not? Yeah. And they're not specifically branded for that. So but it was just something fun for me to do. But then I started getting really weird DMs on my social media, being like, oh, well, you're not really this kind of a person, or you don't look like this person. So what, just really mean girls kind of style stuff. Kind of started coming up, but then I started getting, I'd make more posts on, my social media. And then I started getting, this post has been reported. This post has been reported, to the point where my Instagram actually almost got shut down because people were reporting me for inappropriate content and things like that. And I was like, what is happening right now? But it got to the point where it, wasn't fun posting anymore, because it was every time I'd post, something would come up, something would go wrong. I'd get nasty messages from people, anywhere from, you social media and being kind of personality on social media, you kind of get used to hearing negative things about yourself every once in a while. It just kind of comes with the territory. And the industry itself, you just kind of have to have a thick skin, because you get told things about yourself all the time. Yeah. But then it came down to, they were like, well, we're going to talk to these other people and make sure that they don't ever hire you again, or da 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 da. And it was just like, okay, this competition isn't worth my entire career kind of going downhill. And so, and I kind of tried to it's very hard to reach through to anybody from the actual competition, via email or anything like that. It all seems very auto-generated, what there is. So I was just like, I'm just going to back off. I'd already had, bless their hearts, I'd had family that had kind of invested in votes for me and things like that. And I was like, it's not worth it if it's going to start to impede on my actual career, or something that I thought was going to be fun and kind of boost my social media a little bit. I was like, it's just not, it wasn't fun anymore. And, and then it happened a little bit again after I actually started commenting on YouTube about it. I got reamed a couple of times with people going, well, you should have just been doing it for the fun of the competition anyway. And it's like, well, that was exactly how it started. That's exactly why I did it. I love horror. This is, and this is my career. This is what I love to do. So it just seemed like a natural kind of a thing to kind of move into. And, they're like, well, and I've gotten messages and stuff, like people have found my other social media, and I've gotten messages through there, being like, oh, well, you're just trying to, you don't care about charity, and you don't want to do this, and you don't want to do this. And, oh, you're just listening to all these other people. And it's like, no, this is I was like, I'm learning now more about this, but I didn't know, I was like, I just know my own personal experience was very negative with the competition, unfortunately.
Ever since, so I haven't talked about this in my videos, but ever since this competition started back up and my videos my video resurfaced and the newer videos came out, I've been getting so many nasty comments from fake YouTube, and I can tell that they're fake YouTube um, profiles. And I even had one recently, and I'm gonna name drop this person's name on here. Ape Shelley, that's her name. But like it went from comment to DMing me on face. Like she put a comment saying something like, "Oh, well, you guys sound bitter because um, uh, you don't have to pay to win that competition. You can win with the free votes." And I was like, "No, you can't. Like, it's impossible to win free votes in that. I don't care how much of a fan base you have." And it went from her message me on Facebook DM and then message me on this and that and posting off of boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, this is insane. I'm like, whoa. Okay, if you don't agree with what I say, leave a comment and just keep it moving. You don't have to take it to that level where now you're stalking me on other forms of social media. If you don't like what I say, then don't even comment at all, to be honest. Like, just keep it moving. No one, I don't care. I really don't care.
Scroll on by.
I don't care what your opinion is. You know what I mean? Your negative opinions. I really don't care. I say thank you for watching and just keep on moving. So like it's weird. It's like a cult-like thing. There's a lot of people, no matter if you prove it to them or not, if you say anything about that competition, they will attack you. And it's weird.
Yeah, well, and that's how I actually found you. Was there's a very well-known horror actor that I don't know if he wants me name dropping or not, that was posting about, the competition itself and, it being a scam on Facebook. And I'll tell you off camera and stuff, but
I already know who it is.
Yeah, I'm sure you already do.
Yeah, she shared my video, which I was like,
yeah. And you're like, holy crap, I have arrived.
I was like, oh, you shared my video.
But and that's how I found the whole everything with it was as I was like, holy, because I already knew, kind of I had my own negative, like experiences with it, and then kind of learning everything else. And so yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's one of the, and then of course then I see it popping up too with this. It's the same group stuff with like there's like a Maxim one, there's like an over 40
one, there's a 40 Fab, there's all of these, and they're ran by it's the same format.
Yeah.
And the only way you can win, I don't care what anybody says, the only way you can win is by paying. Only way you got to dump in. I'm not saying you personally, but you have to solicit family and friends to dump in large amounts of money to even have a shot of winning.
Very much so. And and it sucks when things like that are are kind of set up that way, and it's really frustrating because there are those people that are genuinely so amazing horror fans and that kind of thing, and that they just want to do it because they think hey, this is really cool, or maybe this is an opportunity for me to do something really cool with the industry, and it's really sad. And it's really sad when you kind of see the people that are kind of advancing and you realize that they're not really like that either. They're not that like-minded. And it's like, okay, why? But
like there's actually it's a Face of Horror YouTube group, and Facebook group. Sorry, Facebook group. And it is just so sad. You see these people on there posting that, I need $13,000 to pay for my mother's medical bills. Please, like, it's like, and some people are like, I need to win this competition so I can break into the horror industry, and they don't know that they don't have a shot in hell of winning.
And it's there's predatory stuff like that just like across the board, and I think nothing else, take it as kind of a cautionary tale at that point of, if
Life
it seems
lesson.
too good to be true, then it probably is. And, it's, I mean, I had it growing up, like trying to work in the industry across the board, hey, come pay us this money for this, this showcase, and we'll get you in front of like 30 casting directors and da da
Hmm.
da da da. And it's like, no, I'm supposed to be getting paid to do work, not paying, you to, okay.
Scams will never end in
Nope.
ever, because as long as people have hopes and dreams and passions, there will always be scams.
Yeah. Yep.
And because that's what they focus on. They focus on your hopes, your dreams, and winning money. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody
Hmm.
wants to be powerful or respected. And everybody can't be rich. Everybody can't be famous. Everybody can't
Hmm.
be respected. Everybody can't be powerful.
Yeah.
And they prey on that.
Yeah. And it's really sad. It's really, really sad. And again, there's people that are they're gonna go for it. It's like, I don't know how many times on my, just in my like DMs on Instagram, I get the fake celebrity scammer that all of a sudden needs my help to like pay their bills. And I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
okay. Sure.
I get about 10 different phone calls a day from scammers saying I won like $5 million. And like, imagine I was that type that was like, boy, I need to be rich. I might fall for that.
Or desperate. Or
Or
desperate,
desperate, or like really needed.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I could use $5 million, but I'm saying like it's a like a I'm on about to go on the streets type thing. I might be like, thank you, Jesus. You just blessed
Hmm.
me with $5 million.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's just sad. I mean, the more and more I over time, like, because with the first video, it was, I did a lot of research, and then I just started talking to victims. I'm gonna say victims. I
Hmm.
just started talking to victims and just reading the comments. I think those videos have like over 200 comments, 200 or 300 comments on them,
Hmm.
and just hearing the stories, and it's sad.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And like, some of these people that have dumped, again, for me, I went into it solely, like I said, it was like this could be fun, and I'll make some more, make a little bit of extra horror content for stuff. And I had my brother was finding me sounds on TikTok to do things with. And it turned into a little bit of a family affair, because I had my brother trying to find stuff
Yeah.
for me. And my sister, who actually can't watch horror at all, was like, oh, and my kid was helping me do stuff for that. So that part of it was fun. But
Hmm.
then it just, oof, yeah.
I just wish one person. I wish when I was in a competition, one person would have told me, "Hey, dude, that's a scam."
Mm-hmm.
I wish somebody would have made a YouTube video like I eventually did,
Mm-hmm.
saying that it was a scam. Because if one person would have told me, "Hey, dude, that thing's a scam," I wouldn't. I've been like, "Oh, I'm a pretty smart person." I would be
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. That is a scam."
Mm-hmm.
But no one told me that. Like, no one said it to me. People told me after the fact that
Mm-hmm.
it was a scam. That that was a scam, and yeah. So I'm glad that I made those videos, continue making those videos, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole thing. I mean, I'm not even just going into that part, but just the fake donations and all that stuff. It's just bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks when you think you're moving I mean people do this with charity stuff all the time, and it
Hmm.
sucks because I watch it, and then I watch very legitimate charities suffer because of it, and where people are like, oh, well, are they just out to, or what are they doing, are they out to get me, and things like that. And it makes it that much harder for the very legitimate ones out there that are doing the best they can, and trying to, trying to do what they do. And so
Yeah. And I'm not going to say any names or anything, but I don't blame the people who are involved in this, because at the end of the day, it's a paycheck.
mhm.
I'm not talking about the people who are running it, but the people who are involved.
Mhm.
I
And
don't
I
blame
think I
them.
think I don't I think it's a paycheck. I think it's a job, and I think they're just they're doing what they're contracted to do to fulfill an obligation, and I don't think they know
Yeah,
what's
because
the rest
they
of it.
don't. Because if you go on their social media page, they don't promote this contest at all,
Mm-hmm.
which is a huge red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Like the individuals who are involved do not even promote this contest.
Mm-hmm.
They made one video last year, and that video just goes on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's shoot over to something else. You have a horror calendar coming out. Tell us about that as well.
I do. I am actually in the next couple of weeks. I am going to be flying out to South Carolina to shoot a horror icons calendar. They're doing this in kind of a couple of phases for it. They are going to have a calendar that is solely based on one of the perform. So there will be one calendar that is solely me, and where everybody is taking on a horror icon that they are kind of turning into a pinup version of that character for this calendar. And I guess it's not a secret. I guess I can say it.
Okay, I
I
was
got.
like,
I was like, wait, can I say it? Yes, I can. Um, this is that concept of, wait, what can I say out loud? What can I not say out loud? What's my out loud voice? Um, but I am actually going to be portraying American Mary for my horror icon.
nice.
So I'm really excited, and it's kind of funny because like all of a sudden like all of this like trivia with like American Mary is like popping up on all my social
Yeah.
media now. So I'm like, it's got to be meant to be. So, but what they're doing is, so once they're going up for sale, there will be calendars that will be solely just like the American Mary one. There will be a calendar that will have a collection of all of the horror icon pinups in it. And then there will be a kill calendar where they are actually shooting photos for it that are each one of the icons just obliterating a victim for the calendar.
Nice.
So it's
I need that calendar.
it's like it sounds like it's gonna be a blast. And I've seen some of some of the work coming out of Sinister Studios is the ones doing it out of South Carolina, and I've seen some of their work up till now too, and they do awesome stuff, and they do stuff for cosplaying and everything else at cons, and they're just awesome people. And so
Sweet.
yeah.
And what part of South Carolina are they out?
They are in, oh shoot, I want to say Bentonville, but I'm not sure that's right.
Okay.
It's a smaller town out of
Okay,
South
I don't know where Bentonville is at.
So, yes. I've never been to South Carolina either, so this is going to be kind of a
South Carolina's amazing.
Too. I have this little like thing on I keep posting it off and on my Instagram of like, these are the states I've been to. These are the states I have not been to, and I'm like, now I'm actually filling out. There's like this whole southeastern section of the United States I have never actually been to, and so now I'm hopefully going to start filling that out.
Yes.
Hopefully I can start filling it out with all work, so that would be awesome.
The East Coast is definitely amazing, but the West Coast is pretty awesome too. I do like the West Coast.
Oh, I do. My sister lives in El Segundo, so I work out there. Part of the time I've filmed out there a few times now, so right out in LA. And El Segundo is this nice little like beach suburb town of LA, and it's right on the beach, and I get there and get to go running on the beach every morning. I
love San Diego. I love California. I mean, I love California. It's amazing. Now, you also have a band.
I do.
Back in the studio?
Yes, we are. We kind of took a hiatus over the summer because everybody is kind of doing their own kind of summer thing and stuff. So I am with a goth rock band called Sister Medusa, and you can find us on Spotify. We have our first album, Lore, was already released, and we have a couple of singles that are going to be on the next album that have already been dropped on Spotify as well. But we are going back into the studio and gonna spend. We joke that we kind of spend our fall and winter back in the studio because it's the nice little warm hobby to have, because it gets very cold here in the winter and you don't really want to do outdoor activities anymore. So we kind of nestle back into our music studio, and we've been working on a bunch of songs that we're hopefully gonna get this next album, which is yet to be completely titled. we have about 3 different titles for this new album, like getting thrown back and forth because we're like, maybe, I don't know. But we are in the process of getting the rest of this album done. We are hoping to have the rest of this album done probably right after the first of the year, and actually to start cranking out the next one. So we're kind of we're very, very homage to the old like 80s and 90s like goth rock stuff, very Sisters of Mercy, very very, very oriented that way. And it's me and 2 of my closest friends, and we just go in and have a blast, and I get to sing, which is the other half of stuff I love to do. So yeah, it's very exciting to be able to be getting back into the studio and exercising that part of my creative brain. So
that's amazing. Now, Jewel, where can everyone find you? You got a lot going on. So where can we find you to find all your stuff?
Let's see. I am the Jewel Cavazos on TikTok, on Instagram. I have a link tree that's got a bunch of my work and the stuff on it as well. I have a pro page up on Facebook that is just Jewel Cavazos, facebook.com Jewel Cavazos. That's the one spot I have right now that doesn't say the Jewel Cavazos on it, because I didn't think about that at the time when it was created. But so you can find a lot of my stuff up there. And I update my Instagram pretty regularly, and a lot of my other stuff, a lot of my modeling stuff kind of gets promoted on Instagram and things like that. But yeah, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I think that's it. I think that's all the social media things. But yeah, those are, it's the Jewel Cavazos or Jewel Cavazos, and it's pretty easy to track me down on all those. So
awesome. Well, Joel, what have we learned about you? So you're starring in There's Something Inhuman. I always want to say inhumane, but Inhuman in the Woods. Almost said it.
Yep.
You're modeling in this amazing horror calendar through Sinister.
Yes. Sinister Studios in South Carolina. Yes.
You're a badass martial artist. I seen your video reel. She really is a badass, and she really is a martial artist. So yes, she really is. And you got a fucking goth rock band who's getting back in the studios.
Yep.
And you hate to face a horror contest.
there is that as well.
Jewel, it's been absolutely amazing. Everyone, please follow her on social media. Get that calendar. Jewel, hold me a calendar too, because I want that calendar.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Hold me one. I want your autograph on it too.
For sure.
And I'll see you in Colorado next year.
Yes, I cannot wait. Yes. This year was amazing. They moved to a new facility. It was bigger and better. It gets bigger and better every year, and the coordinators are amazing. Like I said, I was a guest the first year, and I've just gone back as a patron every year, and I've made some amazing friends through there, and cannot wait to see you out here. So
awesome. Yes, and I only got 2 more Major League Baseball stadiums to see, and that's Colorado and Arizona. So
there you go.
Still 2 birds, one
stone. 2 birds.
See a Rockies game, go to the convention.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
Yes. And marijuana is legal there. But listen,
I don't know anything about
that. It's legal here in Maryland too, but listen, I went to Colorado, but I've been to Colorado once. I've been to Denver and Boulder. It was one trip, and I was there for a wedding. And I was there for like the biggest snowstorm ever.
Oh, God.
It was like, it just came out of nowhere. And I did not have no snow boots, and like Denver's snow is Denver's snow. My flight was delayed. I had tickets to go see a Nuggets game, and I had a walk there, and I had nosebleed seats, but no one showed up to the game, so I got courtside seats. I was like, yes,
nice. Yeah, that's the thing, is a lot of our stuff doesn't shut down even when the weather gets crazy. So because we're kind of used to it. About anytime after about mid-September on, you just kind of start bracing yourself for
It's a
whatever
question
weather
mark.
it's going to happen. It could be snowing in the morning and literally 80 degrees by the afternoon. Like this time of
Yes.
year, it's.
But I remember like was before, because weed was legal there before anywhere else, and
Mhm.
and I remember walking out of the airport and the smell of weed. It was just overwhelming. Just poof. Like I was like, fuck, woo! Like the smell of weed throughout Denver and Boulder. You could just anywhere you walk, you just smelled weed, and it was just in the air. And I was like, whoa, this is a whole different world. Now every city and state is legal, so it's not as crazy. But yeah, that was my first time just going to a state in this country and weed was 1% legal. And I was like, whoa,
Whoa, this is different.
this is crazy.
Yeah,
This is crazy.
the whole just yeah, it flipped on a dime real fast here.
Yes. And then I was also walking around Denver. I was like, where's all the black people at? I mean, it was like, and then I did some research, and apparently it's like 99.9% white in like Denver and Boulder. So I was like, wow,
Hmm.
completely different world. Completely different
Yep.
world.
Yep.
All right, Joel. Well, once again, it's a pleasure. I love to have you back on. Got anything else to promote?
Absolutely. Anytime. Anytime.
All right. And I hope you don't get shit for this interview too. From
Well, we covered a bunch of other stuff, so
yes, it's.
stuff.
I feel like they might just missed it in the
So
middle. So
focus on that. Focus on
yeah,
the
I
the
put it in the
stuff and
middle. I put it right in the middle on purpose because most people have a short attention span. They watch the beginning and end. So yes. Well, everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.